Hello and welcome. You're on India Today on our special show, Battle of Champions, talking about the T20 World Cup. And we're building up to that big game, India versus New Zealand, which has now taken the shape of a virtual quarter-final. Plenty of questions facing the Indian team. They're looking for those answers after that loss to Pakistan. And to answer those questions, we'll be joined by Sunil Gavaskar, former India captain. We're going to address all those important questions to him. But before I go across to Sunny Bhai, let's quickly bring you the latest from the UAE. What has the Indian team been up to now? These are fresh visuals of the Indian team practicing last evening. You could see Virat Kohli sweating it out, not under the sun, but under the lights, probably also getting used to the conditions. Even the Indian bowlers may have been getting used to the conditions as far as the dew is concerned. What was also noticeable, if you take a closer look at those visuals, apart from Ishan Kishan and Shreyas Iyer looking on, is the thrower, and he's using his left arm to give those throwdowns to the Indian batsman. Remember, it was that left arm pacer in Shahid Afridi which troubled the Indian batsman, and now you'll have another challenge in Trent Boult going forward versus New Zealand. So that's one aspect you can clearly see that the Indian batsmen have been working on. Sunil Gavaskar with us. Saiba, we're calling it a virtual quarter-final, but as much as pressure there is going to be on the Indian team, even New Zealand is going to be feeling the pressure, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think because they know that unless the results in the other matches go their way, this virtually is a game where if they lose, then they're out of the tournament.
Now, why is it an important game for the Indian team? Let's quickly show you the record between India and New Zealand. Now, that's a record that favors the Kiwi team, just as we were building up to the record between India and Pakistan, a record that had favored the Indian team. This time, the tables have turned, and India hasn't done that well versus New Zealand. If you take a look at that graphic, in all the games that they have played in the ICC tournament, that record stands at 6-1. The only win coming in ICC tournaments came way back in 2003 when India had beaten New Zealand. The latest that you can remember between these two teams was that final of the World Test Championship, and then going just behind a year from there on, it was that crucial game in the 2019 World Cup semi-final. Saiba, just taking a look at that record between India and New Zealand, we all know that New Zealand tend to punch above their weight in ICC tournament, but why is it a banana skin game for the Indian team?
They are a very good team. They're a very well-balanced team. Maybe not as strong in the spin department as India is, but they are a very well-balanced team. And like they showed against Pakistan for quite a while, till almost the 15th over of the Pakistan innings, they were in the game. And it's only when Asif Ali and Shoaib Malik batted the way they did in those last 4-5 overs that the game slipped from their hands. So for almost 30 to 35 overs, New Zealand were in the game. So they are going to be somebody that you cannot take lightly at all.
Right. So let me refer to the record that we just showed. How much do you think that's going to be weighing on the Indian team's mind? Or would you like them to take a leaf out of Pakistan's book that beat New Zealand?
Well, did it play on Pakistan's mind? No. You know, modern players only think about the next game. They focus on the next ball. They don't think about what has happened in the past. Past is history. And you just focus on the next game. And that's exactly what India will be doing. Also, India will be remembering that last year when they were in New Zealand, they beat New Zealand comprehensively in the T20 tournaments. If I recall correctly, 2020, February, March, they won all the 5 T20s, out of which 2 of them went to a super over, and yet India won.
Right, encouraging words there from Sunil Gavaskar as far as that head-to-head record is concerned between India and New Zealand. But let's, as I was saying, let's bring you the latest of what's happening with the Indian team. We showed you Virat Kohli hard at work. Now, these are very important visuals that we've got from the UAE. Hardik Pandya bowling in the nets. We saw him bowl a day before as well, but 2 days in a row, we've seen him bowl. Not quite full tilt. Now, that's one thing that you can clearly see from those visuals. But probably because it's practice and he's not giving it his best, but he's rolling his arm over, as you can see. Plenty of balls that he bowled in the net session. That's a welcome change compared to what he was doing a day before. Slightly more in rhythm, he seems like, bowling here than what we saw of him a day before. And of course, far better than what we've seen of Hardik Pandya before that. A player that hasn't been bowling at all and purely playing as a batsman in the Indian team. Okay, Sunil Gavaskar is still with us. Sunil, one thing is, bowling in the nets. The other thing is match fitness. Would you risk Hardik Pandya, who's just bowling in the nets, to bowl in the match and be dependent on him?
Look, he's going to be a sixth bowler. He's not going to be a fifth bowler. So he's an option. So if he's bowled a little bit in the nets, that's a very encouraging sign. In case one of the bowlers gets hammered, then he comes in and slips in a couple of overs. That's what I think the team management will be looking for him.
Okay, Hardik Pandya bowling in the nets is not the only piece of good news. The other bit that we saw in the Pakistan game, and if there's one positive that you can take from that encounter, that was Virat Kohli's batting. Once again, he's been hard at work in the net, and that is going to be very, very crucial going forward, considering the match against New Zealand is going to decide India's future in the tournament. That's why Virat Kohli would once again have to shoulder all the burden of the batting order.
It's not often that Virat Kohli bats for majority of the innings and still India end up on the losing side. He batted like a lone warrior, but even his innings couldn't pull India through against Pakistan. Good thing is that loss is in the past and Virat Kohli has got some runs under his belt in the very first game of the tournament. His records will always keep the opposition on its toes and India would root for his batting genius once again against New Zealand now that the situation is either perform or perish. Virat is by far the leading run scorer in T20 internationals with 3,216 runs at a staggering average of over 52. No one in the top 5 comes close to his consistency. Another heartening fact is that the third on the list is Rohit Sharma, who is also due for runs. While Virat did his best, or at least tried to do his best against Pakistan, even the bowling turned out to be a big letdown, defending a total of 151. With just 5 bowling options, Captain Virat's task is cut out. The presence of left-arm paceman Trent Boult in the New Zealand 11 will once again be a point of discussion in the Indian dressing room. But Virat is preparing for that challenge in the nets and was bowled some left-arm pace from a slider. A few shots that he exhibited got some loud response from his teammates too. Against New Zealand, Virat doesn't have a big sample size, but he still enjoys a decent record with 2 half-centuries from 9 outings in which he has got over 300 runs. Virat has often admitted that he thrives in challenging situations and perhaps it couldn't be more challenging than this because another defeat and it could be curtains for Team India. Sports Bureau, India Today.
So clearly Virat Kohli there seems to have found his mojo, but what's ailing Bhuvneshwar Kumar? Because just some time ago, about 2 years ago, he was the go-to bowler for India in white ball format, but hasn't been himself quite ever since. Saibai, what do you reckon? What's ailing him? We know he's coming back from an injury.
The only thing missing is probably self-confidence. Remember, this format is a format where the bowlers get hammered. It's pretty impossible for anybody to bowl 4 overs for an average of maybe 5 or 6 runs over. Yes, Adam Zampa did that just a couple of days back, taking 4 wickets for 12. But clearly, I think Bhuvneshwar Kumar is short of match practice and short of confidence. But I'd still go with him because of his experience. Because, look, this is a crucial game. Like I said, you don't want to make too many changes.
Very interesting. Saibai says that he'll still go with the Bhuvneshwar Kumar because of his experience. Okay, that apart, any other likely changes you see for the Indian team?
Not really, because you have too many changes. It's a sign of panic. The only thing is, I would like to maybe if Hardik Pandya is not going to be able to bowl, then maybe I'd like to see Ishan Kishan coming in his place. Because Ishan Kishan has been in very good form. He can be a finisher that Hardik Pandya has been in earlier times for India, but this time around in the IPL as well, Pandya's form was not great. So if he's not going to be bowling, then I think maybe Ishan Kishan would be a better option.
Okay. Let me focus on that. What you mentioned, that if Hardik Pandya is not bowling, you'd like Ishan Kishan to come into the playing 11. Let me explore that a little further with you. If Ishan Kishan was to come in, would you like him to bat at the top of the order? In which case, KL Rahul comes at number 4, or would you like Ishan Kishan to take what Hardik Pandya's position is at number 6?
No. Why would I want to drop somebody who was the second highest scorer in the IPL opening the batting? KL Rahul was there, so I think we don't want to disturb too much of stuff. We only change if at all. Like I said, only if Hardik Pandya is not bowling, then maybe you want to have Ishan Kishan, and he can be a floater. He can be batting somewhere at 4, 5, or 6, because I know 3 is going to be Virat Kohli's place, but at 4, 5, or 6 he can come into that.
Thanks so much for those insights, Sunny Bhai. We'll leave it at that, but we look forward to your company going forward, because 2 very crucial days are coming up for the Indian cricket team. As we've been talking, it's that virtual quarter-final versus New Zealand. And there's one game tonight that's going to play a very important role as to what happens between India and New Zealand, because this is a game for Pakistan and Afghanistan for an opportunity to top the table. Now remember, Afghanistan has won only 1 game, but their run rate is better than Pakistan at the moment. So in which case, if they were to win this encounter, they go on top, and that would set the cat amongst the pigeon. Because remember, for the Indian fans, it would be better if Pakistan wins. They go clear, India-New Zealand fight. But if Afghanistan was to win this game, then you'd have a 3-way fight between New Zealand, India and Afghanistan. And that's something that Indian fans would ideally not like. I'm afraid that's all the time that we have on the show this evening. Thanks so much for watching. You are watching Battle of Champions.